Hi everyone, my name is Sabine Althoff. I'm the Senior Program Officer here at IIE for Science and Technology and Private Programs. So I'm your presenter today on how to choose a program that's right for you. So the title of the presentation is China, Ireland, or Ecuador. So today I'm going to present on how you will come to the decision of studying abroad. And then once you've made that decision, how do you go about choosing a program? But before I start talking about how to pick a program that's right for you, I briefly wanted to introduce you to IIE, the Institute of International Education, and our New Generation Study Abroad initiative. IIE, the Institute of International Education, is a non-for-profit organization. We were founded in 1919. We're one of the world's largest and most experienced organizations specializing in international higher education. We administer about 200 to 250 programs. Through one of our programs, we serve about 25,000 individuals on an annual basis, and this includes students, scholars, faculty, teachers, study abroad professionals. We're also known for administering the Fulbright program on behalf of the Department of State. The Fulbright program is the flagship program of the U.S. government for international exchanges. Generation Study Abroad, which is our new initiative that we launched last year, is a 5-year initiative with the goal of doubling the number of U.S. students that study abroad by the end of the decade through a meaningful international experience. And it can be through an academic program, taking courses abroad. It can be an internship. It can be through a service activity, a learning project, or a non-credit bearing activity. So that's Generation Study Abroad for you. Before I get started, I just wanted to thank everybody that's on this presentation with me. We're going to wait to answer questions till the very end. So what is it that we're talking about today? Study abroad. Is this something for you? Choosing a program for students can be quite difficult, daunting, but we've developed this presentation specifically to streamline the process for you, address some of the concerns you may have, and navigate through all the components that you need to think about when studying abroad. And in order for you to decide whether studying abroad is for you, we first wanted to address a few myths that may be out there behind studying abroad. The first and the biggest myth that we encounter that we wanted to dispel today is that studying abroad is an extended vacation, or it's just a travel experience, or it's just for fun. It's actually much more than that, and what we want to do through Generation Study Abroad is really shift the paradigm for students and have them realize the benefits and the importance of having an international experience and immersing yourself in another country, their academics, and international in the higher education system. People are oftentimes overwhelmed by the idea of going abroad, losing sight and perspective of the bigger picture, the value that an international experience is going to have on you, and just the value of being exposed to other countries, the culture, and their academic approaches. For instance, if you're in Japan, let's say you're in Japan and you see their approach to learning or their higher education system, which is quite different from the one that we have in the US. It gives you another perspective, another approach. And how cool would that be if you ended up down the line working for a Japanese company or having a Japanese client in your future profession, and just giving you that much more of an edge. So a lot of times study abroad is not given any consideration by students because they don't know how it really fits into their 4-year academic program. You at least owe it to yourself may have on your college experience and future career. If, for instance, you are majoring in history, like the person in this slide, how amazing would it be if you did a semester or a year in China, and then you ended up doing an internship, say, at a museum studying Chinese art history, doing field work, and then later on you come back, and then during your graduate work or PhD work, you ended up doing another year in China, maybe through one of IIE's programs, maybe through our Confucius China Studies program, which is designed for PhD students. It enables you to become a subject area expert. So it will give you an edge later on if you end up deciding to becoming a lecturer or a professor in Chinese history, something that you may have wanted to do all along. So the bottom line here with this slide is that Study abroad can really help you make that connection between your academic interests and your professional goals. It helps you gain clarity and then may help you decide what you want to focus on for your profession or for your career. I had a student that was interested in biology slash medicine as well as engineering, and his study abroad experience doing research in a lab outside the US really helped him decide which route he wanted to go. So he was debating between medicine or engineering. Once he got back, he realized that he wasn't going to go the traditional, conventional route of going to med school, but ended up becoming an engineer. And now he is a scientist doing research in medical devices. The point is that study abroad really helped him solidify what his passion was and guided him to choose a career that was the right fit for him. This kind of brings me to the next myth that I wanted to address, which is that study abroad is primarily or only for liberal arts and humanities students. It's not really for STEM students, when actuality, there are many study abroad opportunities for STEM students. A lot of STEM students think that they can't study abroad because their program or curriculum is too rigid, too lockstep. So they may lose a semester or the credits won't transfer, meaning that they won't graduate on time. Similarly, they think they won't find the right courses or won't have the language skills to study abroad. So the thinking is that for STEM students, there are a lot of obstacles out there to study abroad. Plus, STEM students ask the question that why should we be studying abroad? The best STEM programs are in the US. That is actually not true. All these supposed challenges or obstacles are easily overcome. There are a number of programs that are specifically designed and tailored for STEM students, offering the right course equivalency, that teach in English and that are offered at international institutions that are actually ranked higher than US institutions. And also, when it comes to being a STEM student and studying abroad, employers in the STEM fields really value a student or an employee that has that global experience. More and more engineering firms, for instance, are looking for a globally competent engineer with the soft cultural skills. So along with the engineering skills, they want somebody who will be able to adapt to an international work environment, be able to collaborate with people from different backgrounds. So what is it that you need to think about when thinking about studying abroad and considering whether it's a good fit for you during your academic career? The first thing is you need to consider the people. Ask yourself, who is going to be affected by my decision? Who do I want to make connections with when I'm going abroad? How will the relationships and the collaborations that I build and develop help me down the line in my profession? The second thing, which I think is the most important thing that you need to do, is investigate and do your homework, do the research. Ask what interests you and then link it to your field of study and where you see yourself 5 to 10 years down the line. Think about how you're going to communicate while you're abroad. Ask if you want to speak another language, whether it's a requirement of the program. Will having proficiency or some level of the that you need to consider before going abroad, and these include approval from your home school, registering for the courses abroad for the right program, finding housing in the host country, getting the appropriate visa, booking the flights, and just make sure that all your personal matters are really in order before you go abroad. So the main takeaway from this slide is that you should ask, what does it mean for you to be outside the US? Who and what do I need to consider before making this commitment of going abroad? Now that you've decided, let's say that you've decided that you want to study abroad, and we're counting you as one of the students that's going abroad, let's boil it down to 3 questions that you need to answer. And these are, where do I want to study? What do I want to study? And when do I want to study? These questions don't necessarily have to be answered or asked or answered in any particular order. If you, for instance, are a STEM student, maybe you ask yourself, when can I go first? When does it fit in my academic program for me to go so I don't lose the sequencing that I have? Or you decide where you go based on what you're studying. So maybe the best lab for the work that you're doing is in New Zealand, so you choose New Zealand. And when you don't have to take as many sequence courses as a STEM student, you can take electives. Maybe that'll help you determine when you can go. And this brings me to another myth that we actually wanted to tackle during this presentation, which is studying abroad is not affordable for me. Again, another myth, because there are a number of programs out there that actually provide funding for students who are interested in studying abroad. There are a lot of scholarships, funding opportunities, programs that can go towards your study abroad experience. And one thing that I want to highlight is in that a lot of cases, a lot of study abroad programs, your financial aid actually stays intact and goes with you when you go abroad. One of the programs specifically for students who receive financial aid and want to study is the Gilman Scholarships that's sponsored by the Department of State and administered by IIE. Universities also have their own specific study abroad scholarships, and many of the U.S. and international universities that are Generation Study Abroad partners are now offering scholarships for students as part of their commitment to doubling the number of students that go abroad. Also, a lot of international governments and agencies that want to host more U.S. students often offer scholarships for U.S. students. So again, the main takeaway is that if you're committed to the idea of going abroad, the funding will follow. The actual process of choosing a program can be quite overwhelming because there are literally hundreds and thousands of programs that are out there for you to choose from. Again, for this, start by doing your research homework, talk to your teachers, advisors, other people that have gone abroad, your friends that may have studied abroad. Narrow down your preferences based on what you want as an outcome from your study abroad experience. What will yield you the most benefit? I manage a scholarship that's specifically for biomedical engineering students, and on our website is a list of all the potential and former host institutions that are very eager to host students as well as grantees for the program. So definitely avail all the resources that may be available for the various programs on their websites. Also, your own university is going to have specific exchange agreements with international institutions, and the advisor can provide you with a list of programs that will be suitable for you depending on your field of study and the courses that you need. There are also some consortium based models and programs out there where member schools exchange students amongst each other. These consortium programs can be field specific. So for example, at IIE, we administer the Global Engineering Education Exchange Program that's specifically designed for undergraduate engineering students. Most times, if you study abroad through a program that's approved by your home institution, you will be awarded credit for the courses you take abroad, and you probably won't need to direct enroll or pay tuition at the host school. So there's another cost savings component to doing an exchange program. The first step to finding a study abroad program for you, like I said, is to do the research. There are a lot of options for a study abroad on where to go, what type of program you're looking for. Some of the questions that you may want to think about include, what country do I want to go to? So here you may want to focus on whether you prefer a big city, a smaller town. You also want to consider, what type of program do I want? Do you want something that's sponsored by your university? Again, do you want to be directly enrolled at the host institution, or do you want to be part of an exchange program? What kind of classes do they offer at the host institution or through the host program that will transfer back and apply to my program? I think that's vital. Also, you need to consider the language requirements and ask yourself whether you want to study another language. And then ask whether they offer courses in English. Do I have the language capability to follow the courses if they're not offered in English? There are a lot of programs that are out there that are offered in English, but some of them, it may be just at the master's level. So maybe can you take first-year master's courses, because in Europe, for instance, they have the 3-2 model, and a second-year master's students in Europe would be the equivalent of a fourth-year senior here in the US. You may be able to take some master's level courses that are offered in English. Also ask yourself the housing situation that you need. Do you want to live with a host institution? Do you want to live on campus? Do you want to live off campus? Or are you up for pretty much anything? It's, again, a really good idea to do all that research beforehand, have an idea of what you want before talking to advisors, and just having some options to discuss with them. Another resource that I would recommend abroad office. This is a search engine for study abroad programs, and while many programs are offered directly by the school, if you can't find anything that's a good fit for you, IIE Passport is going to be a great option. And you can really search and filter your search on IIE Passport by location, so the country that you want to go to, the cost of the program, the duration of the program, whether it's specifically for undergraduates or graduates. So a great resource. Okay, so working with advisors. This is a big component of when you decide that you want to study abroad and how to identify the right program. Advisors are going to be instrumental in kind of guiding you through the process. Not just advisors, but also your faculty and, of course, your parents. You probably should get an okay by your parents to go abroad. Identify the study abroad or the international office and the advisor that's at your home institution. If you don't have an office, like I said, go to the IIEpassport.org website or directly contact the scholarship office or the program administrators for the specific scholarship. If you do have an advisor, a study abroad office, set up a meeting with that advisor, show your research, and this is pretty much as soon as you decide that you want to study abroad. Whether it's a year down the line or 2 years down the line, it doesn't hurt to let the advisor know that this is something that you're thinking of. When you have the meeting, get more information about what steps are required to apply, how the classes will transfer back. And then once you've decided on the program that you're applying for and you've applied, just be aware of deadlines. What are some of the program requirements? Will it require, is the application pretty standard? Will it require 2 recommendations, 3 recommendations? Do I need to reach out to faculty in advance? And also just make sure that your advisor is up to speed, knows that you're applying for a program, especially since a lot of programs require an advisor approval or certification or some type of signature, so it's good to just keep them in the loop. So back to the 3 main questions that we started off with, the where, what, and when. To answer the where, narrow down the choices of countries you would like to go to study in. There are some programs that are country specific, and then others like Gilman where the actual student is proposing where they would like to go, and then they find the host institution abroad and go on the program. So it can be one of 2 ways. You find a program that is specifically oriented to the country that you want to go to, or you propose where you go to. Once you know the location, you can keep refining your search by asking the question, what? And this is, what are you going to do while you're studying abroad? What activities are you going to do, and what type of experience do you want while you're studying abroad? Are you building career-specific skills? Are you building language skills? Do you want a lab experience? Pretty much define it by what your goal is. And then finally, the when. The final question is, when are you going to go? When does it make sense for you? Freshman, sophomore, junior year, even your senior year, and how long are you going to stay? The summer, the semester, full academic year? Are you going to combine an internship with your study abroad? Are you going to do spring and then internship over the summer? So kind of there are a lot of options. Again, you have to figure out what's the best one for you. The process of studying abroad has challenges. Sometimes they can be quite frustrating. So what you need to do is really find an anchor or motivation for yourself to muscle through the whole process. So all the components that I just talked about, talking to an advisor, figuring out the the how, when, and where. It can be kind of challenging, but you have to realize and go back to the overarching question of why you want to study abroad and what benefit it's going to yield for you. So, just go back to that big question. It's really worth having a study abroad experience, an international experience, because as a student, it will really empower you to think more broadly, independently, and really prepare you for the next steps in your life. Do it as an investment for yourself in your academic and professional career, and you'll see not just the short-term benefits, but really the long-term benefits also. When you return, you will have deepened your skill set, understanding of other cultures, what it means to be globally competitive, and how to function in a more globalized world. And that's something that you really can't attain during your 4-year of your college career while just in the U.S. And international experience will really help you get a better understanding of how it is working with others from various backgrounds. It will help you form collaborations, building partnerships and networks that may be long-lasting and then prove useful for you down the line. So some tips for you for choosing your program. Just some final tips, and then we'll just open it up to Q&A. So we've got 10 tips here listed for you. I'm not going to go through all of them in detail. The one that I really want to highlight is tip number 8. Find a program that's a good fit for you academically, that will allow you to maximize your experience abroad. It should fit within your academic schedule, be affordable, and award you short-term and long-term goals. So I think 8 really captures a lot of the other tips that are on this slide, but it's really important that you find something that will work for you. And then again, upon your return, speak to your career services office to learn how you can incorporate your study abroad experience into your resumes, cover letter, interviews. Focus on your re-entry and how you can talk to others and convince them maybe to have a similar experience. And then down the line, if you're at an institution, if you are a study abroad advisor, your organization, you can join GS. Takeaway from this slide is that and maybe you have the study abroad bug, once you do it during your undergraduate, and as a graduate student, you want to do it through the Fulbright program or another fellowship. And then here's some pictures of recent study abroad students who were transformed by their study abroad experience. They were all at different stages in their academic career with different motivations, different reasons for going abroad. In all these cases, it definitely impacted their outlook on life, helped them gain a better understanding of the world. So everybody has a different story and different motivation as to why they're doing it. So we're now going to open it up to questions. I think we've got about 10 minutes for questions. Let's see if we have any. So the first question is that if I'm already studying interior designing, but I'd like to get a scholarship for another major, would that be okay? Oh, 100%. That would be completely fine. As long as, I think a lot of programs focus on your future goals also. So if you show that you're interested in something different and the study abroad experience will help you gain or will provide you an experience that will move you into that other direction or that other field, then it's something that's going to help you in your academic program. So I don't foresee that as an issue at all. Another question is, my curriculum is very structured and does not allow me to pursue study abroad during the academic year. Will the cost, and I can't see the rest of the question. Will the cost of studying abroad be covered or subsidized by my college if I decide to take the opportunity during the summer? So let me try to understand this question a little bit more. So it depends, again, it depends on the type of program you're applying for. If you're doing an exchange program and the courses your own home institution has an exchange set up with an international university, and it's for the summer as well as the academic year, then it would be subsidized. Then you would only be paying tuition at your home school and not needing to directly enroll. If it's something that's not part of the exchange program and you're going over the summer independently, taking courses, first what I would recommend is you talk to your advisor, make sure that the courses that you're taking over the summer will transfer back. But then you will probably need to figure out how you're going to apply for or get funding for the summer. For instance, you can apply for the Gilman program, which has programs over the summer, which will cover the cost of studying abroad over the summer. Another question we have is, when do most U.S. students study abroad? And I think this varies. In my experience, especially with STEM students, it's really dependent on when they can take that time to take electives, or they don't necessarily have to take a sequence classes. Very much dependent on your own program and what fits best for you. I know that there's a myth, or there's the perception that spring term of the junior year is when most students go, and that is true that most U.S. students do go during their spring term, but that's not a hard rule at all. You don't have to go during your junior year. You can go even as early as the first semester of your freshman year or the last semester of your senior year, if that's allowed by your program. Okay. I think that's all the questions that we have. We'll wait a couple more minutes if there are any additional questions. I think we're ready to stop broadcasting. Thank you, everybody.